Right now, in the year 2025, your brain is running on 300,000-year-old survival code, and it's making you afraid of the dark. Not because there's actually something out there, but because evolution hasn't caught up yet. Stick around, because what science reveals about this fear will genuinely surprise you. Studies suggest that up to 74% of adults experience measurable anxiety in the dark, not just children. That's 3 out of every 4 people. This isn't just a childhood phase. This is a deeply wired, ancient biological response. And today we are going to find out exactly why. Hey, welcome back. Today we are diving into one of the most fascinating quirks of human biology, why we are still afraid of the dark. We've sent rockets to space. We carry supercomputers in our pockets. Yet turn off the lights, and something ancient wakes up in your brain. In this video, we are going to explore the evolutionary science behind fear of the dark, how your brain physically responds to darkness, why this reflex has survived for 300,000 years, and whether you can actually train yourself out of it. Let's go. To understand why your brain fears the dark, we need to go back, way back. Roughly 300,000 years ago, Homo sapiens first appeared on Earth. And for most of that time, darkness wasn't just uncomfortable. It was genuinely deadly. Let's unpack that. Here's something surprising. For most of human history, nighttime was genuinely one of the most dangerous times to be alive. Predators like lions, leopards, and hyenas are nocturnal hunters. Without fire or shelter, our ancestors in the dark were easy prey. The ones who feared darkness survived longer. The ones who often didn't make it. Did you know that your brain has a dedicated fear processing unit? It's called the amygdala, a tiny almond-shaped structure deep inside your brain. When you walk into a dark room, the amygdala fires up within milliseconds. It doesn't wait for your logical brain to assess the situation. It reacts first and asks questions later. This is sometimes called the amygdala hijack. What's even more fascinating is that fear of darkness isn't really about the dark itself, it's about what you can't see. Humans are intensely visual creatures. Around 80% of the information we process about our environment comes through our eyes. When darkness removes that input, the brain enters a state of heightened alert. It assumes danger until proven otherwise. That's your ancient survival brain doing its job. Here's something surprising. The moment you enter a dark space, your body literally changes chemistry. Research shows that perceived darkness triggers a measurable increase in cortisol, the stress hormone, and adrenaline. Your heart rate can climb. Your muscles tense. Your breathing shallows. All of this happens automatically, below the level of conscious thought, because evolution programmed your body to prepare for action the second visibility drops. Did you know that humans have remarkably poor night vision compared to most predators? Cats can see in light levels 6 times lower than what humans need. Lions and leopards have a reflective layer in their eyes called the tapetum lucidum that essentially gives them built-in night vision. Our ancestors were basically blind in true darkness while their predators were not. Fear of the dark was genuinely life-saving. Here's something surprising. There's an important difference between a normal fear of darkness and a clinical phobia called nyctophobia. Most people feel mildly uncomfortable in the dark. Nyctophobia is a diagnosed anxiety disorder where darkness causes extreme panic, inability to function, and persistent distress. Studies suggest around 11% of adults may experience clinically significant fear of darkness. The underlying brain circuitry is the same, it's the intensity and disruption that differs. What's even more fascinating is that fear of the dark peaks in children between ages 4 and 6, and there's a very specific developmental reason. At this age, children's imaginations become highly active, but their prefrontal cortex, the rational brain, hasn't fully developed yet. So imagination runs wild and nothing suppresses it. This fear tends to reduce with age as the logical brain matures, but the underlying wiring stays in place for life. Did you know your brain literally fabricates threats when it can't see clearly? This is called predictive threat modeling. When visual data is missing, the brain fills in the blanks, and it's biased toward assuming danger rather than safety. Mistaking a shadow for a predator costs nothing. Mistaking a predator for a shadow could be fatal. So the brain defaults to imagining the worst every single time. Here's something surprising: when your brain loses visual input in darkness, it immediately compensates by amplifying other senses, especially hearing. Research shows that auditory processing in the brain becomes more sensitive in low-light conditions. This is why every tiny creak of a floorboard sounds terrifying at night. Your brain has shifted into high-sensitivity mode and is scanning every sound for signs of threat. What's even more fascinating is how modern technology interacts with this ancient wiring. The blue light emitted from phones and screens closely mimics the spectrum of daylight. Your brain's internal clock interprets this as daytime. It suppresses melatonin, the sleep hormone, and keeps your threat detection systems partially active. So we've accidentally created a tool that hacks our ancient brain into staying in alert mode long after sunset. Did you know that darkness itself is actually a chemical signal to your body? When light fades, your pineal gland releases melatonin into your bloodstream. This is the hormone that signals night is here. But melatonin alone doesn't eliminate the fear response, it just reduces general arousal. The amygdala's threat detection remains partially active even during sleep, which is why sudden sounds at night jolt you awake instantly. Here's something surprising: nightmares aren't random. According to researchers, nightmares may serve an evolutionary function: threat rehearsal. Your brain uses the safety of sleep to simulate frightening scenarios and practice responses to them. Studies suggest that people who experience nightmares show slightly better real-world threat detection. So as unpleasant as they are, nightmares might actually be your ancient brain doing overnight survival training. What's even more fascinating is that fire may be humanity's oldest hack against fear of the dark. Evidence suggests early humans controlled fire at least 400,000 years ago, before modern Homo sapiens even existed. Fire provided light, warmth, and a perimeter that predators typically avoided. It didn't rewire the brain's fear response, but it gave our ancestors a tool to manage it. The absence of fire reinforced the dark equals danger equation even more deeply. Did you know your brain has a built-in fear override system? The prefrontal cortex, the front part of your brain responsible for reasoning, can actually suppress amygdala responses. When you tell yourself there's nothing in the dark, that's your prefrontal cortex stepping in. The catch: this override takes time to develop, it's not fully mature until your mid-20s. And it can be temporarily bypassed by extreme stress or exhaustion. Here's something surprising: human culture has been actively reinforcing dark as dangerous for thousands of years. From ancient myths where monsters roamed at night to modern horror films, we've built a storytelling tradition that equates darkness with death and evil. Every ghost story, vampire legend, and horror movie you've ever encountered has layered cultural fear on top of your biological fear. This means the phobia isn't just biological, it's also culturally taught across generations. What's even more fascinating is that research suggests women statistically report higher levels of fear of the dark than men, but this likely reflects social conditioning as much as biology. Women are statistically more vulnerable to physical danger in dark environments. Additionally, men are often culturally discouraged from reporting fear. The underlying neurobiology, the amygdala activation, appears similar across genders. Did you know that darkness can actually change how people behave ethically? A fascinating study published in Psychological Science found that people in dimly lit rooms cheated more and behaved less honestly than those in well-lit environments. Darkness creates a psychological sense of anonymity, a feeling of being unobserved. This may explain why so many cultures across history associate darkness with wrongdoing and light with virtue. Here's something surprising: your body starts reacting to darkness before your conscious brain is even aware of it. Within milliseconds of reduced light, your pupils dilate, controlled by the autonomic nervous system. At the same moment, the locus coeruleus, a brain region associated with alertness, starts firing. This happens completely below conscious awareness. Your body is essentially a darkness detection machine running on full automation. What's even more fascinating is the flip side. Research from the Journal of Environmental Psychology suggests that dim lighting can actually enhance creative thinking. Darkness triggers a sense of freedom from social observation, which loosens inhibition. When we feel unobserved, we think more expansively. So while your amygdala is panicking, another part of your brain might be thriving. Darkness has a complicated relationship with the human mind. Did you know that you can actually retrain your brain's response to darkness? A therapy called cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, combined with gradual exposure called systematic desensitization, has strong evidence behind it for treating nyctophobia. By slowly, repeatedly exposing the brain to darkness without consequence, you teach the amygdala that dark does not equal danger. The ancient wiring doesn't disappear, but it quiets down. Here's something surprising: not everyone is afraid of the dark. Some people find darkness deeply calming or even pleasurable. This often comes down to individual differences in amygdala sensitivity and the strength of prefrontal cortex override. People with lower anxiety trait profiles or strong prior habituation to darkness tend to associate it with rest, privacy, and calm. For them, the ancient alarm is quieter, or the rational brain has successfully renegotiated its relationship with nighttime. What's even more fascinating is a modern twist on this ancient fear: light pollution. Today, roughly 99% of people in the US and Europe live under light-polluted skies. Many people, especially in cities, have never experienced true darkness. Research suggests this artificial light is disrupting melatonin cycles and sleep quality. Ironically, our ancient brain feared darkness so much that we invented so much artificial light that we are now harming ourselves with it. Did you know that the fear of darkness is so deeply embedded in our evolutionary history that it's unlikely to fully disappear from the human species anytime soon? Evolution works over thousands of generations. We've only had reliable artificial light for about 150 years, barely a blink in evolutionary time. The neural architecture for dark fear is encoded in the deepest, most ancient parts of our brain. It will be with humanity for a very, very long time. Alright, so what did we learn today? Let's quickly run through the key takeaways. We covered a lot of ground, and every single fact connects back to one central truth: your brain is ancient and it hasn't fully updated to the modern world. Number 1. Your amygdala fires up the moment darkness reduces visual input. It's automatic, ancient, and faster than conscious thought. Number 2. This fear has a real evolutionary basis. Our ancestors, who were cautious in the dark, survived longer. The fear kept us alive for 300,000 years. Number 3. The body responds physically: cortisol, adrenaline, dilated pupils, sharpened hearing, all automatic, all below conscious thought. Number 4. The good news: you can retrain this. CBT with gradual exposure therapy has solid evidence behind it for reducing dark anxiety. The brain is plastic, and it can learn new associations. And number 5, the big picture: fear of the dark is not a weakness. It is 300,000 years of survival programming doing exactly what it was built to do. The fact that you still feel it doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It means your ancient ancestors were very good at staying alive. And that code is still running right now inside you. Here's the beautiful thing about understanding your brain: knowledge is its own kind of light. When you know why you are afraid, the fear doesn't disappear, but it loses its mystery. You are not broken. You are not weak. You are a 300,000-year-old survival machine navigating a very new world. And that's actually pretty amazing. If you found this video fascinating, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. We explore brain science, human behavior, and the science of everyday life just like this every week. Drop a comment below: are you afraid of the dark? And what surprised you most from this video? I read every single comment. Thanks so much for watching all the way to the end. You are the reason we keep making these videos. Until next time, stay curious, keep learning, and remember, even in the dark, your brain is working incredibly hard to keep you safe. See you in the next one.